and welcome to the Yishai Fleischer Show, broadcasting live from Judea to the world. You're a part of it wherever you are. Shalom, everybody, and thank you to all the folks that have already been waiting for us to go live, and we are indeed live. I want to hear from you. So please, as we start the show, first thing is, before we even get to the news, the way we warm it up is that you let me know where you're from and where your blessings are coming from. So tell me, where you're from and send blessings from around the world to the land of Israel. I want to hear from you. That's how we start the show, and we warm it up. I have a lot to talk about today. It is an exciting time here in the land of Israel. So let's find out what's going on here. Let's discuss it. I'm looking forward. And we also have Yo, who is our producer today. Thank you so much. We have folks from Arkansas and Sloam, UK. I don't know where that is. And somebody just says Shalom Isha, and Shalom to you, sir. We have folks in Beit Shemesh watching right now. I want to hear where you're from. Yeah, there's a lot of love from the UK. There's a lot of love. All right, Shalom from Michigan. Good. Come on, let's hear from everybody. Sending love from Ireland, and we're sending love right back to you. Thank you very much. And Oklahoma. Did I say Michigan? And Texas. All right, people are coming in from all over. Shalom from Kfar Saba here in the beautiful land of Israel. Shalom to you. And Tennessee, and somebody who's coming to the land of Israel, heading to Israel on Sunday. Shalom from Manitoba, Canada. Shalom. And shalom from South Africa and Canada. Canada, dangerous place. Delray, Florida. Wait, New Jersey, Afula, South Africa, Canada, Nashville again. And look, somebody already started with making our day here by sending in a super chat to Yishai Fleischer TV and to the land of Israel. May I trust you with this gift from Matanot Levunim to give where you find the need in Israel. Beautiful. That's a Purim prep gift for the needy. Amazing. Gainesville, Florida, Central Florida, Netanya, San Francisco. God, I love this. Sierra Madre. Awesome. Okay. Shalom. And great little Purim outfit you got there. Vamonos tick. Very good. Okay. Whoa. Somebody's excited here. Shalom. Belo Horizonte, Brazil. All right. So much fun when we get all these people from all over the world to what's this? Please be aware, not all Irish are pro-jihad or pro-Palestine. Many of us are totally ashamed by our militant lefties. We know all about it here at Yishai Fleischer TV. We know about so many of our Irish friends. All right, we're still getting warmed up here. People from Florida. Florida's hot, and I'm heading out to Florida soon. A lot of people wrote to me from Florida. I missed my window to fly to Florida because I broke my big toe. Baruch Hashem, thank the Lord. And I'm planning to head out in April. Okay, I just changed those tickets today. So we will be there, Be'ezrat Hashem with the help of God. Should we start or should we wait for a few more people? I see a lot of people are coming in. Look at this. Yishai Fleischer, you're my brother in dreams. I hope your dream is of a temple in Jerusalem and of Yishuv Haaretz. Yo, our faithful producer. Yes, Yo.
Hi, everybody. The Preston Stewart piece is going up, and it should be good now. And I sent you Tucker's horrible experience at the airport.
Okay, hold on one second. Let me download those. There's the Tucker one. That is just too funny. This guy is so funny, and I don't yet see the war one. I don't see that yet. Let me know when it's up. Do you see it up?
It'll be up in a sec.
All right, let me know when it's up. Great. Thanks so much. Okay, and we are almost starting to get into the nitty-gritty. Actually, let me go live here on Instagram as well. Shalom to all of our Instagram friends. Okay, that jump in. Wow, look at this. We got South Africa. We got Malta, the island of Malta. Amazing. Cool. Okay, Beverly Hills, Toronto, the Shetland Islands. I love islands. I got to go. There's from Greece. Oh, my gosh. Arizona. We'll talk about Tucker in a little bit. Tucker, we're going to definitely talk about Tucker. Shalom from Namibia. Shalom from Florida. Awesome. Arizona. So great to have everybody here. Okay, and I think it's time to get going. I see the Tucker thing. I knew the Tucker thing was something that's going to be on your minds. I told the folks, I said maybe we should include Tucker in the show description, and we're going to definitely talk about that. Zimbabwe, Brazil, woo! Arabic from Berlin, shalom, shalom to you, my brother. Arabic from Berlin, awesome. You see, you're speaking Arabic, and you're from Berlin, and you're still a friend of the Yishai Fleischer Show and of the Land of Israel. Thank you very much. We have here from Northern Ireland, to our brothers and sisters in Israel. I love the folks in Northern Ireland. I got to get out there and speak sometime. And shalom from Santa Claus in the North Pole. Thank you very much. And for all those gifts as well. Thank you very much. Okay, here we go, folks. We got a lot to talk about, so let's get to it. First thing is, there is a lot of military preparation here. There's a lot of military preparation. Let's start with a serious look at the news coming from Israel and from Israel-related issues from ILTV. Let's watch this clip and discuss it together.
The inaugural Board of Peace meeting is underway in Washington, and we're already getting the first photos of this crucial summit. In the back.
What does she mean by crucial summit? I don't really know how crucial this thing is or not yet. I do know there's a lot of leadership here, and I do know that there's a sense that this thing is here to replace this thing is here to replace the UN as an effective body. Maybe it's definitely a Trumpian body. What is this thing really about? It's hard to know. I don't know what Board of Peace is really about, but we're going to hear from President Trump as well, talking about the Board of Peace and what it's meant to do.
Back of the photos, standing right next to Qatari Prime Minister Al Thani, nonetheless, and representing Israel is Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar, while Israel closely monitors the meeting. Opening the summit, Trump said, quote, "We ended 8 wars and the 9th is on the way. With wars, you never know what's easy and what's hard to end." Trump also had this to say on Iran.
And we do have some work to do with Iran. They can't have a nuclear weapon. It's very simple. You can't have peace in the Middle East if they have a nuclear weapon. And they can't have a nuclear weapon. And they've been told that very strongly. Our countries, nobody could have signed. You would have had that threat. You couldn't have had peace in the Middle East. So now we may have to take it a step further, or we may not. Maybe we're going to make a deal. You're going to be finding out over the next probably 10 days.
Okay, so that was President Trump actually saying that he's got a kind of timeline in his head of 10 days. Is that serious? Is that serious? Is that a real thing? Here's Ira writing, Trump should have stayed home. Let Israel take care of Gaza. I definitely agree with Israel taking care of Gaza. That, I agree with. I totally think that Israel should be in charge of Gaza and not let a Board of Peace or anybody else deal with it. But okay, on the other hand, one could say that one could say, a friend of mine said this to me, that Israel's in the best shape with regarding to Gaza that it's been in 20 years. Okay, that my friend gave me this whole explanation about that. I don't know if I buy that. I think that when you get attacked like that, it's also an opening to take care of business. And I don't think that we've taken care of business totally, but there is a lot of progress forward. Let's keep going with the news report.
Trump says we will know about a strike in about 10 days' time. This after sharp comments by Republican Senator Lindsey Graham visiting in the UAE. Graham said that America's decision to strike has already been made. The senator added that the American armada building up in the region is not because of, quote, good weather this time of year. Graham is hinting that a strike is very much on the way. And meanwhile, as big gestures and grand statements are thrown around, U.S. aircraft carriers and striking ships are building up presence in the region with every passing day. And to give you a clear picture of what exactly this deployment looks like, well, the New York Times posted a graphic image of the current armada layout in the region. Have a look at this. We can see a guided missile destroyer in the Red Sea, another 2 destroyers in the Mediterranean, and right up near Iran in the Persian Gulf, we have more destroyers and combat ships. The aircraft carriers are southeast near Oman, and this is the most severe deployment of American forces in the region since the 2003 war in Iraq. And as the world waits on...
All right, and that's really what I wanted to talk about today, and that is that there's a massive deployment of arms. There is a massive deployment of arms right now here in the Middle East, and Israel's at top defensive level that it's been. It's a top preparedness level that it's been since the last Iran conflict, which was in the summer. And so there is definitely a tension out there. I can't tell you that Israelis are standing there all afraid. I'm not telling you that everybody's like, oh my God, oh my God. I'm telling you life is normal here, but there's definitely a sense that war could break out at any time here. War could break out at any time. And I'm going to talk about this right after this. We finish off this news. I'm going to talk about the match that's going to light it. Okay, we'll talk about that in a minute.
On the edge of its seat to see whether a strike will take place or not in Israel, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is strengthening the Israeli public, saying the security establishment is on high alert. Speaking at an IDF officer course graduation ceremony at the Bahad 1 training campus, the Prime Minister said that readiness is high, and should the regime attack Israel, they will respond with full force. Have a listen.
איננו נחים על זרי הדפנה. אנחנו ערוכים ודרוכים להגן על עצמנו מול כל אתגר.
Okay, we're really ready to fight and face any challenge. And the Prime Minister is kind of, he's speaking at an officer graduation course. He's putting it out there. And he looks, he's got this tough kind of look. And I've been hearing from folks that he's really like behind the scenes, not as young as he used to be. But here he seems very, very, as we say in Hebrew, nachush, which means mentally ready for conflict.
אנחנו פועלים בצמידות עם בעלת בריתנו הגדולה, ארצות הברית.
We're working together in concert with our ally, the United States.
הבהרתי לידידי הנשיא טראמפ
I said to President Trump, my friend,
את העקרונות שלדעת ישראל צריכים להנחות כל משא ומתן עם איראן.
the principles through which all negotiations should, the principles that we need to reach from Israel's perspective. So he's saying what it really means is he's passing intelligence. Netanyahu's passing intelligence to President Trump saying, this is what they're doing. This is how they're preparing. And that's what I'm hearing from my sources, that there's intelligence sharing that's happening, and that intelligence sharing shows that Iran may be preparing to deploy weapons of mass destruction, chemical weapons, dirty bombs, and other potentially crude weapons of mass destruction. And that is what President Trump said. Well, they can't have that kind of bomb. And, one could say, look, Prime Minister Netanyahu is sowing war in the Middle East. But that's not what's really happening, is it? What's really happening is that President Trump saw that when he spoke to the Iranians, the Iranian leadership, and he said to them, don't kill the protesters. They went and they killed, 50,000 people in the streets. They're willing to shoot their own people. These are not protectors of their own people. And they're certainly willing to nuke Israel or do worse. I mean, when you show that you're willing to kill 50,000 of your own people, what does that say about what you're willing to do to your enemies? Right? So that is the kind of intel that Prime Minister Netanyahu is sharing with President Trump. And you could see if President Trump is responding to that. And there is no doubt a tension in the seas and in the air. And every day we get reports of more C-130s, big jets, and more giant bombers and assets, military assets moving into the region. Now it's the question of what's going to light the match.
אנחנו ערוכים לכל תרחיש.
Okay, we're ready for any scenario. And this is classic Israeli talk. Israelis always say, we're ready for any scenario. There's even comedy skits about that.
ודבר אחד בטוח, אם האייתולות יטעו ויתקפו אותנו,
if the Ayatollahs will make a mistake and they attack us,
יחוו תגובה שהם אפילו לא יכולים לעלות בדעתם.
Okay, and they're gonna face the wrath of Israel, the likes of which they can't even imagine, which is always funny to me. What kind of languages you can't even imagine? I can imagine, but I think he means to say we have surprises up our sleeves. Okay, and We're going to talk more about this deployment. As KP says, we are in active duty during the last big deployment, 20 years in the USAF. I can't recall anything this big. I'm watching the AWACS. Okay, we're going to talk about the actual deployment in a minute. Let's let Prime Minister Netanyahu finish his talk.
It's important to note that.
So isn't it interesting, though, that on the one hand, there's this board of peace moment, and then on the other hand, there's this big deployment in Iran. Do you see this confluence of the Trumpian world? There's a confluence of efforts on the Trumpian side. And by the way, according to Visegrad, there is also Russian ships and Chinese ships in the Persian Gulf blocking the Straits of Hormuz, which is where so much of the world's oil passes through. So, we're reporting to you on what the Americans are doing. Don't, think that China is not part of this thing. Okay? Don't think that Russia's not part of this thing. This could be a global conflict. And let's not doubt the reality, the possibility that this can ignite something big. Let's keep going with the news.
At this ceremony, the Prime Minister also encouraged the graduating course, saying that they are the backbone of Israeli security and that we fully trust them in their next roles. And now a Gaza update. The IDF has exposed a kilometer-long underground tunnel route with several terrorist hideouts in Beit Hanun, the northern Gaza Strip. According to the IDF,
after 2.5 years of fighting, we're still finding these terror tunnels. I just want to say, A, the extent of the terror tunnels is massive. B, 2.5 years and we still haven't taken care of all this business. Not so great. C, and this is the most important one of them all, this was all done under Israel's nose. Does anybody, like, when they make these news posts, they're trying to show us that they're tough and cracking down. It always appears to me the exact opposite. I'm like, pathetic. Pathetic that we allowed this. Israel's much highly regarded intelligence allowed for all these tunnels to be built under our nose. That is just pathetic, embarrassing. There should be a purge in the intelligence community. We should be like, how did we allow such a thing? And this shows you that it's not just about raw information. It's about how you analyze it. And there was bad ways of thinking about the enemy, and look what the enemy prepared for us. And we're still finding what the enemy prepared for us. So, that is something that I am greetings from the Faroe Islands. Where is the Faroe Islands? I don't even know where the Faroe Islands are. Hold on, before I even go on, where are the Faroe Islands? Where is that? Where is that? Self-governing archipelago, part of the Kingdom of Denmark. Wow, looks gorgeous. Faroe Islands. I got to get out there and see some of God's other good land. Amazing. Well, thank you very much, and blessings to you in the Faroe Islands. Okay, awesome. All right, we got people from all over the world saying hi from near Argentina, all kinds of places. Amazing. All right, let's finish up the news.
An operation was launched a month ago to dismantle the tunnel, which included several explosive devices and many hideout bunkers that were already previously used by Hamas terrorists in this area of northern Gaza, stationed right near the Yellow Line. And before we go for now, we've got some exciting news. You can now get Israel updates on our...
All right, so great job at ILTV. Thank you very much. The following video will give you a real feeling of what Israelis are thinking about, how they're feeling. This video, probably the most telling of them all. This is the way to really understand the conflict, is the video that will give us a little bit of insight into how Israelis are feeling, and people who are watching this closely are feeling. Here is President Trump, and a behind-the-scenes view on President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu discussing the situation. Let's take a look.
It is definitely tonight, 100%. We have the stealth planes ready. We are going to grab him like a claw machine. Yoink, just like we took Maduro.
You are bullying us just because we are Muslims.
I feel the need for de-escalation.
Excuse me, Keir Starmer here, United Kingdom. Before we start Armageddon, has anyone filled out the Health and Safety Risk Assessment Form 4B? I have a pen.
We push button now. Boop.
Mute the British guy. Bibi, let's do Tuesday. I have to buy Greenland first.
When is he going to strike? Is it tomorrow? Is it tonight?
I know that's funny stuff, but can we watch this again? I want to do an intro for the video that we might show again later. So let me start again, okay? All right, here is the video that's going to give you a sense of what Israelis are feeling as there's a massive buildup of an armada of war machines, of military assets in the Persian Gulf, around the Persian Gulf, close to in the Mediterranean. Israeli IDF is in full military preparedness. THAAD batteries are preparing to shoot down any Iranian missiles. Intelligence is working overtime. Soldiers are on base. And what is everybody thinking? It's thinking about the leadership and how the leaders are thinking about this. Here's a video that will give you a sense about what the leaders are doing right now. Check this out.
Is it tonight?
It is definitely tonight. 100%. We have the stealth planes ready. We are going to grab him like a claw machine. Yoink, just like we took Maduro.
You are bullying us just because we are Muslims.
I feel the need for de-escalation.
Excuse me, Keir Starmer here, United Kingdom. Before we start Armageddon, has anyone filled out the Health and Safety Risk Assessment Form 4B? I have a pen.
We push button now. Boop.
Mute the British guy. Bibi, let's do Tuesday. I have to buy Greenland first.
When is he going to strike? Is it tomorrow? Is it tonight?
Okay, I think we understand each other, that this video gave us a good sense about the impending conflict that we're going to have here. And really the question is it tomorrow? Is it tonight? Okay, so that's a little bit of humor to start this question. And now I want to give you my sense about what is going to be empowering the strike. What is the thing that's going to make it happen? Okay. This is a moment like World War I. It needs a trigger. Okay. It needs Franz Ferdinand, like a moment where something happens that triggers a war that's already ready. It needs somebody to light the match. Okay. That match might be in the hands of President Trump. It might be in the hands of Prime Minister Netanyahu, who certainly wants this conflict because he wants to get rid of this head of the octopus that has been threatening Israel for so long. Okay? So it might be Trump, who's been totally embarrassed on the world stage by a regime that stuck its middle finger right in his face, said, we'll do whatever the hell we want. We'll kill the protesters. It might be in the hands of Prime Minister Netanyahu, who needs this as his, he can not run in the next election. If he finishes off Iran now, he's like, I did it. I did what I came to do, and I'm one of the greats. I'm in the pantheon of one of the greats. But I think that this whole thing is in the hands of a different man. And that man is Khamenei. This is a Khamenei moment. There is a lot of pressure. There's a lot of military assets all around him. And if he chooses a mathematical pragmatism and says to himself, I'm not going to be able to win this. There's too much military stuff arraigned against me. I could just sue for peace. All he has to do is say, I understand. There's been a misunderstanding. Let's go to some kind of détente. Let's go to some kind of, I won't have a nuclear program. That's fine. Live another day. live to fight another day. Look, I get the point. I'm with you. I don't want to lose power. I don't want me and my friends to lose power. I could still retain my dignity. Say, the Americans came with a giant armada. I wasn't going to lose face. I wasn't going to allow a lot of Iranian people to get hurt. And so therefore I am backing down. Okay, sometimes, takia, whatever, you got to lose face a little bit. You apologize, you make nice. It's totally in his power. And there's no doubt that President Trump would accept an apology of sorts, a backing down. I could see that. I could see President Trump saying, look, I tried for peace. If Khamenei goes on to Twitter, right, and he goes, I don't want a conflict right now. He could just say, I don't want war. I want to come to an understanding. He proclaims that. Trump can come back, proclaim himself a winner. I've brought peace to another place in the Middle East. And Trump is totally capable of declaring peace and declaring victory in a place where it's not so victorious, like Gaza. He's like, look, I stopped the whole war in Gaza, right? But it's not stopped. But he can declare total success. And right now, that's totally in the hands of Khamenei and the Iranians. On the other hand, Khamenei can make a different kind of calculus, a different kind of math. He can say to himself, I am an emissary of Allah. I have to bring the Mahdi, which is Mashiach, which is Messiah, their version of it. I got to bring it. This conflict has been long in the waiting, and this is it. Do I have a trick up my sleeve? Maybe yes, maybe no, but maybe this is the great conflict. And we know that these jihadis are oftentimes, they have a suicide bomber type of mindset. And they're saying to themselves, this is the big one. Maybe I'll win, maybe I won't win, but I'm going to bring it to a conflict. Maybe I'll embarrass. Maybe Allah will be with me. Maybe we will defeat with a few, we'll defeat the many. It's his David and Goliath moment, and he can totally feel himself to be like, this is the big one. Go for it. Which one is it? Which one of the two is it? Is it the pragmatic, live to fight another day, or is the Mahdi version? Right? The Islamic, the kind of like go for broke type version. Which one is it? Both have internal logic. I'm not going to make a bet, but I can tell you that so far, it's the Mahdi version. Look, they are belligerent in their words. They have sent already, I think, 2 drones to attack U.S. ships. They've been shot down. They're negotiating with Hezbollah to be part of the war. They have been, as I said, belligerent in their language, not at all talking peace or any kind of accommodation, not at all. So, which one is it? To me, it's pretty obvious that so far it is a Mahdi mindset. Oh, and of course the big one, which is they stuck the middle finger to President Trump vis-a-vis killing all of those protesters and just telling him, who are you? You're going to, as we say in the Middle East, Miata bichlad. Miata bichlad. That's what we say in the Middle East. Miata, who are you? Who are you to tell me what to do? It's my land, my people, and I'm the big player. And I don't know exactly the game that Russia and China are playing here, but they're part of it as well. And they have even their warships out there, at least according to one report that I've seen. You asking me my gut feeling? My gut feeling is that a conflict is brewing. That's my feeling of what's in the air. Okay. Maybe you remember in my generation, and I guess now that I have this much gray hair, I could say things like my generation. I never said that even a few years ago, but now I can talk about my generation. But we grew up. One of the movies that we grew up on was The Hunt for Red October, and many of my compatriots know the Hunt for Red October lines by heart. I do. I know many of them by heart. So one of the lines from Hunt for Red October is when the director of national security, the national security advisor, says to the Russian ambassador, he says, you have enough warships, so you've put enough sonar buoys that you can walk from Scotland to Ireland to Greenland without getting your shoes wet. And he's like, having your ships and our ships in such proximity is inherently dangerous. He says wars start that way. Having so much firepower in close proximity is just a question of the match. Now, the match, as I said right now, in my opinion, is in the hands of the Khamenei's and their ilk. Okay, the Iranians. Okay, there it is, the Hunt for October, of course. And there's that great scene. There's great scenes. It's my favorite. It's one of my favorite scenes. He's like, wars have started that way, as I said. Okay, so the match is ostensibly in the hands. The ball is ostensibly in the hands of Khomeini, in Khomeini's court. What I mean to say is he can with one fell tweet, with one phrase, one video to the international community saying, hey, I understand President Trump is this, and some kind of accommodation, some kind of, apologetic type of language. And then suddenly, Trump is going to be in a situation where he has to back down, a little bit of contrition. That was the word I was looking for. And Trump is going to back down. But that can be the math that I just said. That is the straight math. That's the straight math. But it could be that there's a different math at play here. What do I mean? When somebody wants to start a war, there is other ways to do it. Right now, what is needed right now is what we call in Hebrew the ilah, the reason, the rationale, the match. Something's got to blow up this tinderbox. And what is it? Well, it could be an Iranian strike of some kind, right? It could be a type of, it could be that, it could be they send out a drone today. They send out a drone. One American soldier is killed, and that's the match. But there's a different kind of calculus, and you just got to know it. All I'm saying is what I'm watching out for in the annals of history. And I'm a student of World War II. The Nazis were amazing at creating reasons. They would fake the killing of German troops by Polish troops. It never actually happened. It was a whole story about a radio station there, but they were like, hey, look, the Poles are attacking our soldiers. We got to get in there to protect our soldiers, or we got to get into the Sudetenland to protect the German-speaking people there. That is a classic red herring, red flag, false flag operation. It's classic, and that could totally be at play here. My gut sense is Netanyahu wants conflict. Trump wants revenge and conflict, get rid of people who have challenged his hegemony, his global hegemony. And no doubt there's also people want to protect their fiefdoms, their countries, their empires, American empire. Netanyahu wants to protect Israel and the Jewish people. And there's other players like China, Russia, who want to protect their thing. Then there's the whole question of the oil prices. There's a lot when you start a worldwide conflict. So before we even go on, I just want to say that I gave you my realpolitik analysis. Of course, here at Yishai Fleischer TV, and we do urge you to like, subscribe, comment, become a member, and all the ways to connect. We always talk about the parallel track of what Hashem, what God Almighty wants. And before we even ask what he wants, right, we're talking about what Trump wants, what Netanyahu wants, what Khomeini wants, what Xi Jinping wants. Here's another question. What does Hashem want? What does Hashem want from us? And we therefore have to pray right now And that is the difference between people who watch this show and other shows, is that we also turn to God and we say, Hashem, please protect the Jewish people. Please protect the good people of this world. Please liberate the Iranian people. Please liberate this region. Please end jihadism and all forms of enslavement, of which there are forces that want to enslave us. There are so many forces out there. And I'm speaking as a Jew and as a Jewish person, part of the emissary work of Jewish people is to talk about liberty. That's part of what the Jewish people are meant to send out to the world, is a signal against the enslavement. Abraham was in many ways not just a teacher of monotheism, but was also a teacher of anti-enslavement. There were enslavers, big enslavers at the time, and he was anti them. And the Jewish people's fight with Pharaoh, of course, has inspired so many. In short, I say to you that we must pray right now. Before we even go on to anything else, we have to pray. Right? In the immortal words of Bobby Brown, we have to pray just to make it today. Okay, we got to pray just to make it today, friends. And we have to ask Hashem to protect us and protect the Jewish people, protect our families, protect Israel, protect the world. Liberate people, liberate so much of this region which has been enslaved and is continuously being enslaved in their minds and in their souls. We have to ask Hashem to protect the people right now. And we also have to ask Hashem, you are bringing together, God Almighty, you're bringing together all this global tension onto one spot, and therefore it is something that you're doing, God. Leaders' minds and hearts are in your hand. What do you want from us? And we need to repent right now. We need to repent and ask Hashem to please forgive us for our sins and to spread his wings over us. And if indeed this is a moment where we can help rid the world of evil, give us that strength to rid the world of evil. And I really believe that one of the sicknesses of the world is that we don't believe inside that the world can be rid of evil. We don't think so for some reason. And they knew it in the greatest generation that, yes, you can get rid of the Nazis and defeat them. And sadly, Nazism fell, but communism rose up. But they believed in that generation that they can make the world a better place. And they did. They did for so many years. The world was a better place, a more moral place. It's time to believe that we can get rid of jihadism and the other enslavers that are related to jihadism. Jihadism is one of the faces of enslavement. And so we have to ask God to protect us and to give us strength to rid the world of evil. That is the opportunity of this moment. And let us not, only allow ourselves to think geopolitically, but also think spiritually. But let us not only think spiritually, but understand things geopolitically. And I really do believe that that is the gift of Israel, to be able to understand those two parallel impulses. We have to have our feet on the ground and our head in the heavens. That is what the Jewish people in the Bible really represent. Fine. Says, we love and bless our entire community, Bible believers, Abrahamic family, fellow earthlings of all backgrounds and points of view. Indeed. And remember, folks, that we have a motto here, which is let's agree to agree. There's so much that we can agree on. Let's focus on that. And let's not proselytize things that are not accepted on all. And except for me, I can proselytize whatever I want because it's my channel. And you, by the way, have the opportunity to just leave if you don't like what I have to say. In any case, I am sending you blessings and love. And now let's watch a very serious video if it comes up indeed. No, it looks like it's still having a problem. There's something wrong with that video. There's something wrong with it.
It should be fine now. Hang on one second.
Let me see if that video there's something. I'm having a problem with that video, yo.
It's 891 megabytes.
Yeah, I
US
see that.
military. Yeah.
I see it. Let me try it with a different name. And let's see if we can do it. Let's see if it goes. If it goes or it doesn't go. I think it might be going. Going. And almost ready to go. And should be done. Yes, should be done.
I also sent you some Ramadan clips you want to use.
Oh, that's right. On the one hand, I want to say to those celebrants of Ramadan who love the Jewish people and love Israel, I want to wish you guys a Ramadan Kareem, Ramadan Mubarak, a blessed Ramadan. And to those who hate Israel and are subscribing to jihadism, then I cannot wish you blessings because you're using this Ramadan to be an anti-Israel fest. But to those, millions who are not anti-Israel, then of course, may your holiday be blessed and may you come closer to God. And to those who are succumbing to jihadist ideology, well, the showdown is coming. And by the way, this showdown, there's a meme going around saying, striking Iran, and there's a face like, striking Iran during Ramadan is like striking Iran during Ramadan on Purim, right? Remember that holiday that we defeated the Persian Amalekites? Is like, so there's definitely an energy. Hey, let me tell you something. Nobody in Israel is overlooking the fact that it's Purim season. That's obvious. Like, if I didn't say that, let me say that to you. If you didn't know it, I'm telling you right now, Israel, everybody knows it's Purim time. Everybody knows. The country knows, religious, not religious. As Bookmouse says, Adar energy, which is Purim energy. Everybody here knows that if we're going to have a showdown with the Amalekites, with the Persian Amalekites, it's going to be on Purim. And so, like you can't have a conversation with anybody without them saying like, yeah, we're ready for a Purim strike on the Amalekites. And on the other hand, remember when they were hanging Julius Streicher? So he they put on the cloak. This is in the Nuremberg trials. They, the 10 that were hanged. So he famously said Purim Fest 1947, I think, Purim Fest 1948, whatever, one of them. And he, there's a hanging of the 10 sons of Haman. There's a Purim Fest, and that Purim Fest might be happening in 2026. Okay, let's now see if we have an opportunity to talk. Oh, there it is. Let's see if we have an opportunity now to talk about the hardware that's being built up here in the Middle East right now. Let's take a look.
Is closer to a major war in the Middle East than most Americans realize.
All right, so this is Preston Stewart. He is a brilliant YouTuber who has a very war-centered, military-centered YouTube channel. Preston Stewart. He's a West Point grad, an officer, a smart guy, a good YouTuber, and he put this out just a few hours ago about the hardware and the, I guess, the thinking behind a strike on Iran. Let's take a look.
That's Axios reporting last night what most of us are seeing, that it is looking more and more like war with Iran is imminent. I mean, this is the largest buildup of U.S. military forces in the Middle East in decades, significantly larger than recent operations against Venezuela or even last year's strikes on Iran, Operation Midnight Hammer. So today we're going to talk about what is happening right now, as well as some arguments being made for and against U.S. military action in Iran. And I want to start with the scale of this buildup. Ian Ellis over on X does an incredible job documenting what is publicly known in terms of U.S. military assets in the region. And you should look at this chart, which I think Ian's going to have to make this a two-pager before too long. It's getting awfully small on there. But, I mean, it gives you an idea of how much is headed to the region. But this is just what is public. And just in the last few hours, we've already got more information that American F-22s have left the United States en route to the Middle East. The last time that they were used during Operation Midnight Hammer, they arrived in theater 4 days before those strikes were carried out, something to keep back of mind. Additionally, there is a nonstop flow of supply and logistics aircraft, be it cargo planes or refuelers, heading from around the world, mostly the United States and Europe, into the Middle East right now. The buildup there has not stopped. It is continuing. And there's nothing like this that I can remember. All right, so the last time that we had anything near this size happening in the Middle East was late 2002 into early 2003, the lead up to the eventual invasion of Iraq. Just to give you an idea. Now, one notable piece that's missing, if we're going to make that comparison from now to 2003, is the boots on ground. There's nowhere near the same quantity of U.S. military, Marines, and soldiers on the ground that would take part in any sort of land invasion of Iran. So everything that we're looking at right now speaks to an air campaign. In fact,
okay, and this is a very important point, right? Which is we're talking about an air campaign or a sea-based air campaign. But the boots on the ground, if there's needed for that, well, you have Israel and you also have the Iranian people. And that's what everybody's counting on, the Iranian people to be part of this boots on the ground, the Iranian people themselves, the Iranian resistance, shall we call them, okay? They're the other boots on the ground. So it's not about invading Iraq here. It's about toppling a regime and hoping that the locals will do the job of taking over. I don't know if there's a great plan, but a very good point that Preston is making, which is it's not a boots on the ground operation that's being prepared for.
We've got a couple different analysts here suggesting that this could be a rather sustained campaign at that. But the buildup here, we know that one carrier strike group is already in theater. There's another set to arrive in the next couple days, maybe Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Each of those have their own associated carrier air wing that includes F-35s and F-18s. There's as many as 12 destroyers already in the region. And then when you're looking at land-based aircraft, I'm hesitant to even give numbers here because this is changing by the day. But let's just, to keep it simple, say we have a number of F-35s, F-15s, F-16s, and A-10s already forward deployed in the Middle East, and even more in Europe that could, and some are, being moved forward into areas where they can carry out strikes on Iran. Now, in terms of what's happening right now, kind of the backdrop is that talks are ongoing around something, depends on the day, generally the Iranian nuclear program. And it looks very similar to how these talks have played out in the past. The pessimistic side of me says this isn't going.
All right, so our friend Preston here did a great job in laying out the armament that's on the ground. Now he's talking about the politics. Now I want to hear Preston's analysis of what Trump is thinking, what the negotiations, the efforts to make peace, the board of peace, all these elements are doing. Oh, by the way, it just dawned on me. It just dawned on me right now that the board of peace gathering together right now is basically an international legitimacy for Trump to act. I didn't think about that. I know it sounds kind of obvious right now, but now the piece I mentioned at the beginning of the show. Now it pieced together. You're putting together a board of peace to be like a lot of folks that instead of a Security Council, if that's not working, right? Because you have China, you have Russia on the Security Council, so instead you have all these players in the Security Council that are going to not agree to your plan. Now you've got this other alternative legitimization mechanism that gives you an international support green light to do the thing that you're doing. Now it adds up to me. You have an alternative board of peace. That's pretty creative, you must say. You have to give the Trump team that creativity, right? So you have this alternative board of peace, alternative to the UN, gives them legitimacy, a lot of armament to strike, and now the world is going to say with him, go ahead and do what you think is right because the board of peace backs you. I don't need the Security Council to agree with me.
Going anywhere, and I think there's some folks that would agree with that. What we've heard most recently is that the two sides have agreed to keep talking, which is kind of diplomatic talk for no progress made. Let's see if we can get closer next time around. And when you look at the list of demands from the United States and what Iran has said they are or are not willing to talk about, again, it's just hard to see how there's any room for progress there. So to nobody's surprise, doesn't appear to be a lot of progress at this point. And Axios overnight reported, quote, the Trump administration is closer to a major war in the Middle East than most Americans.
Okay, so not surprisingly, the point of what Preston is saying is that the negotiations haven't led anywhere. Surprise! Negotiations with the Iranians haven't led anywhere. Surprise! I mean, we knew that it was not going to lead anywhere. You're not going to talk them into submission. You're not going to negotiate with these guys into submission. And Trump said so. He's like, they never win wars, but they never lose a negotiation, a great and true line. And so Axios is reporting that it's moving closer to a major war with Iran. We have to remember that Iran uses proxies. But it might very well be that Iran is a proxy for China, right? For Israel, Iran is the head of the octopus. But for Trump, Iran is the tentacle of China, who has empowered Iran and empowers all things that are anti-West. So there is a different calculus here for President Trump.
Americans realize it could begin very soon. A U.S. military option in Iran would likely be a massive weeks-long campaign that would look more like full-fledged war than last month's pinpoint operation in Venezuela. The sources note that it would likely be a joint U.S.-Israeli campaign much broader in scope and more existential to the Iranian regime than the Israeli-led 12-day war last June. The Times of Israel had a write-up on this as well, where they quoted former IDF military intelligence chief Amos Yadlin saying that a military confrontation between the United States and Iran could begin in the coming days and be an intensive, multi-week campaign. He said the confrontation could be imminent. Quote, "Last week I allowed myself to fly to the Munich Security Conference. I would think twice about flying abroad from Israel this weekend." He says, "We're much closer than we were before, but I remind you, a superpower does not go to war in a matter of days. There is a diplomatic path that must be exhausted." Adding that many people still do oppose the attack. And we're going to look at some of those assessments here in just a moment. He also said that the Pentagon is not clear what they want to achieve. They quote two Israeli officials that Israel is preparing for a war to break out within days, adding that Israel is pushing an operation aimed at toppling the regime. Now, a couple thoughts there. That piece kind of flying under the radar a little.
Israel is pushing this thing because of a global danger. But again, I want you just to consider what I'm saying here to you, which is that, one, the Iranians spat in the face of Trump. Never underestimate the power of personal politics, right? Never underestimate that Trump does not want his name tarnished so rudely in the international arena. It undermines his conflict with China. It sullies his name. He doesn't want to go down on record as being spat on in the face by the Iranians. No, he does not. So the Israelis, Israel has, what Israel really has here more than anything is intelligence. That's what it is. Intelligence and a bank of targets. The bank of targets that's been developed by Israel. Israel says this is what they're doing, this is what they're doing, this. Israel has top level intelligence on Iranian moves that America doesn't have. The intelligence agency that's supplying the Americans with information is Israel. That's what Israel's really doing here. Sure, Israel's got an opinion, but the fact that the Iranians spat in the face of Trump and the fact that Iran is actually a tentacle of China, that's what's driving President Trump, I think.
Now, this is a former IDF intelligence chief. So, I'm certain he has a lot of contacts throughout the United States and throughout Israel. I would be surprised if he is spun up day to day on the current status of U.S. plans related to Iran. So when he says the Pentagon is not clear on what they want to achieve, he probably did not just get off a briefing from Secretary Hegseth about the war aims that we're trying to pursue. That said, it's not shocking if I were to hear that the Pentagon is still trying to figure out exactly what the goal is here, because we have seen what looks like a bit of a shift in the dynamics over the course of the last couple of months. When the protests kicked off, and more on that here in a second, when the protests kicked off, President Trump was mainly focused on that. Don't go after the protesters. We're going to protect the protesters. Help is on the way, right? And when those strikes didn't occur, we saw a bit of a shift to kind of re-engaging on the nuclear question. So, and regime change doesn't seem to have come up hardly at all in official U.S. circles. So what is the Pentagon goal here? It's a good question. I don't know that there's a clear public assessment or public knowledge of that. The Atlantic Council said first, this is a unique moment to reshape the Middle East. And they argue what I've argued recently, that the Iranian regime is arguably the weakest now than they have been since their formation in 1979. So if we want to pursue U.S. policy in the Middle East and kind of have a say in what happens with Iran now and into the future, great time to take advantage of that. The second they point to is the moral imperative. I do think there's some value here.
All right, so one is that Iran is weak, so this may very well be the best time to strike at Iran. Two, moral imperative. Okay, there's definitely a moral imperative, but there's other moral imperatives in this world. As I said, I think there's also personal politics involved here which is, probably the biggest, more personal imperative than a moral imperative. Although I think there's probably moral feelings here as well. I think the thing about the moral thing is, it's not that it's moral to attack Iran. It's that it's probably immoral to leave them empowered, because these guys are capable of such evil. If they're willing to kill 50,000 of their own people, they're willing to do who knows what in this world. Somebody said, and then my mom told me that it's already been discussed a lot in the internet, is that really this is the old Persian Greek wars that lasted for a long time. Here's somebody who's an anti, writes, Donald is the Zio puppet president. Okay, well, I doubt that that's what really is. I think what we're talking about is a sense of global danger and of a Chinese arm and of something that supplies China with the energy, cheap energy. So I think there are reasons that are not Zio. By the way, I just want you to know, parentheses, using terms like Zio, Zionist, if you call me a Zio, I'm like, that's all righto with me. You're not using a bad word when you say the word Zionist. I just want you to know that. Like, Zionist is a nice word. It's like he's good, he's goody, he's really good. Like, there's nothing, the word Zionist, there's nothing wrong with it. It doesn't hurt my feelings when you use the word Zionist or even Zio. It just means loves Zion, Jerusalem. So I'm only too happy to be painted with that brush. All right, let's keep going. Let's see what the other reasons for a war with Iran right now are.
Unfortunately, I don't think this plays very much into the calculations at this point. This is talking about coming to help the Iranian people after they tried standing up to the regime. The third is the credibility dilemma, and they point to Obama's red line in Syria. I actually think this plays a pretty significant role here. So Obama in Syria, don't use chemical weapons. Assad used chemical weapons. The United States didn't do anything. That's an event regularly pointed to from analysts in the United States and elsewhere, saying the United States doesn't follow up on their promises. Even the Trump administration, senior officials within this administration have pointed to that as a sign of kind of American weakness and not willing to do what is necessary. So that might actually carry more weight than it appears. The fourth one here is an interesting one, talking about the economic stakes at play for the United States and China, saying on the one hand, we could reintegrate massive energy reserves here in Iran back into the Western market. At the same time, by cutting off China's access to cheap oil in Venezuela and now Iran, that could put China in a situation where maybe they have to rethink any sort of full-scale conflict in the Taiwan Strait. Fifth is
that was it. That was his whole take on China. I think it's much bigger than that. I think it's much bigger than that. I think that China getting cheap energy is huge. It's a humongous thing. It means that they have the ability to continue to operate, and they have almost like an endless energy supply that's cheap. It puts them at a great advantage. So that's number one. I like that point here, and I'm surprised that he put this as like such a small point. This is the big thing that Trump is facing. He's not facing Iran. Iran's a nuisance. Iran is an awful murderer. Iran gave him the finger. But the real player here is China. And that's why, according to one news report that I saw, there's Chinese ships in the sea as well. And that's the other thing. I really wish I could see what the other deployment is. I don't know what the other deployment is. We need to say the other side's deployment. And as we've learned on the show, never take the other side too lightly. We have to take the other side seriously, and we cannot make fun of the Iranians or the Turks or the Russians or the North Koreans, or the Iranians certainly, and not the Chinese. You got to take them seriously. They're here to play the 100-year marathon to get rid of the shame that they feel has been heaped upon them in the 20th century. And they want to be not only a seat at the table, they want to be the dominant power economically and militarily. And that, to me, is also that's to me the biggest factor in this potential blow up that's happening that we're really getting ready for here. Let's get back to Preston.
Is very similar to the first, talking about needing skin in the game. Iran's future is going to change at some point in the future. We've talked about their future is going to change at some point in the future. You like that? We've talked before about Khamenei's old. He's like 86, 87 years old at this point. He's clearly not going to be around that much longer. There's going to be a change. And if we want to play a role in what the future of Iran looks like, this could be the time for the United States to get involved and, quote, put skin in the game to help dictate what the future looks like. The last piece here talks about the Iranian nuclear program, and this is another one that I think might hold some weight within the Trump administration. They point to President Trump's constant statements about how Iran will not have a nuclear program and saying, look, you hit it, you set it back, no doubt, but by all accounts, Iran has not stopped their nuclear program and has not changed their intention to pursue a nuclear program. So negotiations aren't going to do it. Military might be the option. Now, there's a couple other insights here kind of from the other camp, right? Of people saying this is not going to be as easy as you think. It's not going to be simple. It's going to be drawn out. And there's a reason that a lot of regional countries right now are shutting off airspace, and you cannot overfly, say the United Arab Emirates. You cannot overfly Qatar, and their concern of what this could actually look like. The National Interest put out a piece titled How a U.S.-Iran Clash Could Spiral Out of Control, where they say the Islamic Republic does not believe it can win a conventional war against the United States. Its strategy, therefore, is not outright victory, but cost imposition, what might be described as seeking an honorable defeat by making the price of an ongoing war unacceptably high for the United States and therefore persuading Washington to reach a quick settlement. That is really smart. I don't know what else to say. Like, you hate to see it when our adversaries come up with good strategies and pursue good strategies. The Iranian proxy strategy was pretty effective by all accounts. I mean, it's pretty degraded at this point, but it did its job in a lot of ways. And this is another one where Iran going toe-to-toe with the U.S. military would be great for the U.S. military. Pretty rapid victory in that sense. It's not comparable. Our capabilities to theirs is not close. So Iran is likely to pursue something else. And what cost will the United States accept for a victory in Iran? That's something to think about. I don't know. Something tells me it's not very high, though. Again, the fact that this argument is not being made to the American people, if you walk down the street and say, how many ships, how many sailors, how many aircraft are you willing to lose for, again, what we don't know to be the desired outcome in Iran, my guess is that number is pretty low. And the American appetite for casualties in this conflict is on the low end. Personal assessment, but that's something to consider.
I just want to say that Preston should consider that having, God forbid, casualties and having a real conflict is actually extremely good for a nation, in the sense that in this world, we have to have battle-hardened troops. We have to have a military that's actually capable of being a military. And the problem is a lot of militaries in this world train, but they don't have actual combat. If you listen to books on war and stuff, they're always talking about battle-hardened troops. You need battle-hardened troops. And the Americans need to be battle-hardened in a world that has a China, a Russia, an Iran, a North Korea. You got to be tough. And so the nation has to be tough. In fact, it could be that one of the blessings of this potential conflict, this upcoming conflict, would be actually conflict, because America, in order to retain any kind of hegemony, needs to show that it knows how to have conflict and how to actually fight. It has all this weaponry, but is it useless, or does America know how to actually project strength and use it? And that would be actually tremendously healthy for a generation of Americans that need a purpose, need a cause, need to understand what life is really about, need to get out of the captagons and the depressions and the what do you call it, the various prescription drug abuse, all that kind of stuff, and pot dispensaries and all those things, and like to remember that there is a purpose in this world, and we have a mission, and that mission is to rid the world of evil and to protect the world for liberty. I think that when you talk about having a very low tolerance for casualties, well, the jihadis certainly have a much higher tolerance, and to defeat them, you have to face them, and you have to face them with ability to actually fight a war, and not just to to drive a huge aircraft carrier, but really to be squeamish. Those two things don't work.
Add that the Trump administration's gunboat diplomacy to secure a nuclear deal is widely interpreted in Tehran not as leverage, but as part of its preparation for a regime change operation. Crucially, if Iranian leaders conclude that this is Washington's ultimate objective, they're far more likely to approach any confrontation as a fight for survival rather than a limited exchange akin to the 12-day war. Under such conditions, Tehran would be inclined to employ its capabilities early before they are degraded by sustained airstrikes. This is one of the minute, I mean, we are arguably already in this category, but you get to this area where it's very, very hard to walk it back. If Iran gets the hint that we are inbound for strikes, it is, you can understand the rational thinking of we need to use those missiles right now against the most viable targets right now because they might not be here tomorrow. But if those aircraft were not actually inbound for a strike, all of a sudden we see this escalation starting that is very, very hard to unwind, because the minute that Iranian missiles are in the air, you better believe that Israel, and I mean, depending on the targets, right? But I would assume that some of those targets would be in Israel. You better believe that Israel is going to begin retaliatory strikes, and the United States, with the firepower we have in the region, likely doing so as well. Now, Iran International takes a different angle here, talking about why regional powers are pushing to prevent this war. They say from Riyadh to Ankara and Doha, governments across the Middle East have moved with unusual urgency to contain the confrontation. Their motives are not driven by abstract appeals for peace, but by hard calculation. War between Iran and the United States would expose their territory, economies, and political stability to immediate risk. They say this emerging consensus reflects a simple conclusion shaped by a decade of upheaval. A controlled crisis can be managed, a war cannot. Again, going back.
I think that is just a lot of verbiage. Why do the Arabs not want U.S. to have war with Iran? One is because they don't want to see the West defeat jihadism, even if it's jihadism that they don't like. That's number one. Number two, they don't want oil prices to drop. And number three, and this is the biggest one of them all. I know this is going to sound funny. You know what they don't want? They don't want the biggest victor of this whole thing to be Israel. They don't want to see a big, happy, shiny Israel being rid of its big enemy. There's some place in every Arab country's heart that they're like, most Arab countries' heart, that they're like, well, you know, let the jihad get the Jews. The Jews are annoying, and let's destroy Israel. Somewhere inside, they still have that dream. And Iran is the last to hold out that dream in any capable, in any serious way. And so there are various reasons. The Turks, they don't want Israel to prosper through this. They rather have, remember the Turks are for Hezbollah, for Hamas, and so is the Iranians. They have places where they agree, and they don't want to see American hegemony. They don't want to see Israel being a local power. And, another, Saudi Arabia is probably afraid of oil prices dropping. There are other reasons why they don't want to see a conflict, and they're probably scared on some level as well. But I think that in their heart, they harbor that they don't want the end of the jihadist war against Israel and against the West. That's my guess as to why the Arab and Muslim countries like the Arab countries, but then also Turkey and other countries are kind of coalescing against this war. Maybe.
Back to the previous article talking about how quickly this could spiral. If you're talking about low intensity conflict, U.S. in Iraq is probably a pretty decent example, right? That by and large was contained to only happening in Iraq. There were second and third order effects, no doubt, but missiles flying across territory, aircraft flying from Qatar into Iranian airspace is a very, very different war. They say most of these states maintain closer ties with Washington than with Tehran, yet their opposition to war is rooted less in sympathy for Iran than their own vulnerability. Across the region, governments face a difficult reality. They depend on the United States for security while remaining exposed to Iran's missiles, drones, and allied militias. This dual vulnerability explains their approach. They oppose war and are working to prevent it, but also preparing for the possibility that diplomacy fails. If war breaks out, Most would seek to avoid direct involvement while quietly aligning with Washington's security framework to protect their territory and long-term interests. I think that's probably a safe assessment, that last part there. It'd be hard to imagine that the missiles start flying and all of a sudden you've got Turkey and Qatar saying, well, actually, we're going to back the Iranians on this one. That's not really in the cards at all. But it would be nice if we were going into a conflict and had all of the regional allies not just secretly backing us and willing to back us at the end of the day, or maybe not go against us, but actually supporting U.S. operations. That would be, of course, ideal here.
Well, one of the regional players, and the most significant one is, of course, Israel, right? And that's what I was saying. Like even the way Preston Stewart is talking, he's talking about the Arabs. He wants the Arabs and the Muslims to be in the American side. You would think that Saudi Arabia would be there, but I think their leadership is weak and divided inside. I wouldn't doubt that the UAE and the whole UAE is pro-America, pro-Israel striking, and Qatar is anti-Israel, anti-America, and jihadists. So even if they're Sunni and Iran is Shia, they still don't want to see the jihad go down, even though it's their enemy jihad. You know, they still believe. I think that they would rather have the other jihadi, even though they might do war with the other jihadi, but they prefer that than to seeing Israel and America win this one, right? And remember, Israel's got a vested interest. I want to make it clear. Israel's got an interest to get rid of Iran, the Iranian regime, and to liberate the Iranian people. And I think that Trump sees Iran as a tentacle of China. That's how I think of it. And I think there's a calculus here. And I think there's also the personal affront. I think he thinks to himself, if these guys, and remember the old world, it's useful to go back to Roman times when you're thinking about this stuff. When a country rebels against the hegemon, the empire sends its troops to fight it. And I think that's what happened here. I think that Trump is trying to create a world order, and these guys stepped out of line, and now he has a chance to teach them a lesson, China a lesson, and to control oil, and to support his allies, and to have a strengthening Trumpian empire, right? And so that's what I think is really happening here.
Al Jazeera then had an interesting piece that I wanted to highlight, talking about, from their opinion, why Trump is hesitating to carry out strikes on Iran. And the reason I wanted to point
I don't know if he's hesitating. I just don't know if that's true. I think he's preparing. I'm not sure there's hesitation here. I'm not sure. It doesn't look to me like hesitation. It looks to me like shock and awe preparation.
This one out is, we have had the assets in theater for a long time. All right, this is one of those where I've been hesitant to make this video because it's been the same for like weeks now, right? We had the ability to carry out strikes right when the protests kicked off. They would have been limited in scope, no doubt, but we had the ability to do something. Every week since then, now every day, even every hour, we have more and more assets in the region. And at some point within the last probably week to 10 days, we crossed the threshold to where this is the largest that we've seen in decades. So something right now.
And that by itself is something on its own, right? Like quantity has a quality all on its own. And the fact that there's so much assets here, again, back to that quote from the Hunt for Red October, right? Back to that quote is like that itself is likely to start a war. Just the fact that there's so much war machine ready and trained to fight, right? I mean trained. I mean like trained on the target.
President Trump from pushing that button to go. It might just be a matter of timing. Al Jazeera has a different approach here, where they say Washington is not hesitant because it lacks overwhelming military capability. Far from it. It has hesitated because, in the case of Iran, power does not translate into speed, and speed is the currency Trump values most. Iran has spent decades preparing not to win quickly, but ensuring that any conflict with its adversaries becomes drawn out and costly. Its strategy is not centered on territorial conquest or flashy tactical successes. Instead, it is built on endurance and the imposition of costs. Iran does not aim for a knockout blow. It seeks to draw its enemies into prolonged conflicts that drain their resources, erode political capital, and consume time, ultimately exhausting even the most powerful militaries. Again,
I just want you to know, as a point of order, anything that Al Jazeera writes, anything, it's always spin. It's always, always, always spin. And the only good thing I could say about that is that whenever you hear Al Jazeera, see Al Jazeera, then you can say to yourself, what's the spin? And therefore, I understand better what the Qataris want. So if they're saying that Trump is hesitating, it's probably because they want to draw a picture of Trump hesitating, and they're trying to give you all kinds of language to kind of show Trump as weak, and they give a lot of accolades to Iran. I think that they're jihadists. I think that they want the American power to shrink in this world. I think they're on the axis of Iran, China, North Korea, Russia. I think Qatar is part of that axis. And that doesn't mean they're all best friends. They're not BFF over there in evil axis land. But I think that Al Jazeera article is there to tell you how they want to portray Trump and this upcoming war.
And smart strategy, right? I mean, we've seen just about every military operation that President Trump has greenlit has been very fast, but effective, but very fast. I mean, I don't think that he's signed off on anything at this point that bogs us down for any significant period of time. The closest you could come to with that is the continued strikes with the Houthis. And do you remember where that ended? We just stopped. It was like at one point we were like, all right, ceasefire, moving on home. Like, we inflicted a lot of damage on the Houthis, no doubt. Lost a couple aircraft in the process. No U.S. service members were killed or seriously wounded, but we can't really call what we did to the Houthis a victory. We just stopped at one point. So that's probably the best indication of what a long-term campaign could look like, is the United States just kind of backing out. Again, I don't know that we have the stomach for a long-term fight in the Middle East right now. I don't know that argument has been made to the American people that we're ready to saddle up and get after it in Iran or in Iran and
that's a very good point that Preston Stewart is making here, which is are the American people the Iranian people have a lot of motivation to get rid of their corrupt and murderous dictator leadership. Are the American people being given a good case as to why this war is important for them? I agree with that. Preston is saying something which is true. I'm not sure that President Trump has made a domestic case for American conflict and Americans entering a Middle East conflict. And there's tons of people that are saying, look, Israel's dragging us into another war. I think it's notice that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not saying, America, we need you to come to war. He's letting President Trump do his thing. He's talking about Israel striking against the enemy. But the point there that a case needs to be made to the American people, I think that is an important point. And I wonder, and this leads me to another very important point, which is that this also might have something to do with the midterms, right? You have a midterms coming up. You want to show President Trump wants to show a powerful leadership in a pathway, and therefore get Republicans to be elected in the midterms. And maybe he says to himself, this is my last chance. But more likely, I think what he's really saying is, this is my chance to show and project power also back to my own people. Let's see if there's going to be more rhetoric that makes sense to the American constituents and shows them, why American might is right, and therefore why you should vote for Republicans in the midterms. That's also probably a player in the decision making right now.
In Yemen, Al Jazeera says, quote, "This is precisely why the United States remains hesitant and why Donald Trump in particular treads carefully. Trump is a gambler, but he's not suicidal. He's willing to roll the dice when he believes that the odds are stacked in his favor and the payout is immediate. Iran, however, represents a different reality, a conflict with enormous downside, limited upside, and almost no plausible path to decisive resolution, and no assurance of a clean victory." Now, one thing we get caught in the trap of doing here is looking at the size of the military buildup and kind of thinking that you got to use it or you're going to lose it. And that's not true. I mean, they can just fly back home tomorrow. It could be entirely a negotiating tactic. It's a costly negotiating tactic. But at the end of the day, moving military pieces around the world is, financially costs a lot of money. It's safer and even financially less costly than going to war. So entirely possible that that's what we're seeing right now. But look, this is a lot of metal, a lot of firepower moving into the region for it to go unutilized. All signs do point towards some sort of likely sustained campaign being carried out against Iran at some point in the near future. Again, a key date to watch here is this Thursday through Saturday window when the second carrier strike group is set to arrive in theater.
Okay, we want to really thank Preston Stewart for an excellent analysis of the preparations for war, the motivations for war. Really appreciate your excellent YouTube channel and your assessment. And now I remind you that we must, again, after listening to such an erudite breakdown of the military issues, we got to, again, ask about the spiritual issues, right? In our parallel track, right? Parallel track of talking realpolitik and then asking about the real heavenly politik. What does God want right now? Does he want a Purim? Does he want us to believe that we can end the world, end the repression of this world, and the enslavement and the evil and the Amalekites and defeat them? Is this a biblical battle? And I have to tell you that when I heard Reza Pahlavi, if we could get a picture of him up here, when I heard Reza Pahlavi say, yeah, we helped the Jews 25 centuries ago build their temple in Jerusalem. That's the kind of talk I like to hear. And maybe Reza Pahlavi wants to come back after 25 centuries and give a wink and a nod for the Jewish people to build that temple in Jerusalem and to rid ourselves of jihad in Gaza, in Lebanon, in Judea and Samaria. So there is an opportunity here. There's an opportunity to cleanse the world. And maybe God is just saying to us simply, clean up my world. Because what is the first commandment, people? What is the first commandment? Keep my garden. Keep my garden. La'ovda ve'lashomra. Work it and protect it. Protect my garden. That's the simplest, most basic commandment that God gives in the book of Genesis, in the story of Genesis. He says, protect my world. Keep my world clean. Make sure that there's not poisonous snakes in this world. That's what I need you to do. I need you to keep my garden. And this is an opportunity to keep my garden, says God, and get rid of the jihadis. The jihadi daddies are baddies. We got to get rid of them. Be'ezrat Hashem, Be'ezrat Hashem. Friends, yes, ma'am.
I just want to say that, we just put up a video this week of you on the Temple Mount, and there's been a lot of people accusing the Jews of not letting other people, Muslims and young Arab men in particular, pray on the Temple Mount. But I have a great video from these first days of Ramadan showing the peaceful opportunity for young Arab men to come and pray and everybody else. And that was probably later in the evening of the day that you were there. And I think we just have to show people that if you're going to keep the garden, that's what the Jews are doing. They're making possible this kind of shared use of this area where it's our holy site, but we're letting them pray there. So, obviously before the Jews in 1967 had control of this area, that was not the case. So
that's a great point, Yocheved. Thank you very much, Yo, for making the point on that. The Temple Mount, and it is a great video that we have right now of my tour of the Temple Mount, and you can see that at Yishai Fleischer TV. And I do want to ask you to join me on my YouTube channel, Yishai Fleischer TV. You could subscribe, like, comment, or maybe like, comment, subscribe. That is a powerful way to connect. And you could also do super chats here. You could also be part of our programming, support our programming through Buy Me a Coffee /Yishai. Thank you very much. Need your help right there. Need your help. need your help. I need your help. My mom says I don't ask enough, I don't ask for enough help. And I have these amazing projects that we're doing. My team is doing amazing projects. So help make it happen. See this? buymeacoffee.com/Yishai. Thank you very much. And if you want me to come to your community and speak to your congregation, Yishai Fleischer, Yishai at YishaiFleischer.com. That's true. And of course, if you want to make a renaissance and rebuild, resettle, renovate the land of Israel, fightforisrael.org. Thank you very much, because we're in the process of making God great again. Make God great again. And yes, we are allowing people to pray on the Temple Mount, because the Temple Mount is meant to be a house of prayer for all nations, a house of prayer for all nations. All right, I have one more thing that I want to get through today and then tie up the show. We'll be back live on Sunday. You got to be there. But this is a part that's very important, and that is Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson was in Israel. He literally did not leave the airport. Did not leave the airport. He landed in the airport in Israel, did not leave the airport, so that he could do a debate interview with Ambassador Mike Huckabee, who is a pro-Israel Christian Zionist. And Tucker is a self-styled anti-Israel Christian. Supposedly, I don't think he's read the Bible, but here is a spoof on Tucker in the land of Israel by the great Ami Kozak. Let's check it out.
Hi.
Okay, you pack your own bags or somebody pack for you?
I don't even know what that means, actually. I mean, I packed some things. I certainly packed a lot of things, like a lot. And I probably overpacked. I always tend to overpack. I bring everything. And I'm sure other people pack for me too, so...
Well, we have to ask to make sure, no one put a weapon or something you don't know.
Well, I'm proud of owning guns. I own lots of guns. I'm not going to apologize for that, like at all. I own guns.
You have one here?
And so I'm not going to apologize for that.
Okay, but did you pack it?
I'm not going to do it.
Okay. What do you do for work?
Oh, I'm a journalist. I'm a journalist and a commentator. I talk to people. I have conversations with people.
Journalist, okay. Do you ever lie?
Oh, all the time. I lie every day.
I
lie every day, and I'll continue to do it. I'm sure I'll continue to do that. And I hate it. I hate that I do that, but I'm certain that I do it.
You lying right now about your intentions?
Oh yeah. And I'm very honest about that.
You're honest that you're lying. Okay. You with a major network?
No, we're independent.
Okay. And who is funding you?
I'd rather not say. It's none of your business. It's none of your business at all.
It's a secret?
Actually, I don't have to disclose that.
Okay. You traveled to the Middle East at all in the last 6 months?
I have.
Okay.
Yes.
Where you go?
Well,
which places you travel?
Well...
And why do you go there? No, let's go.
I went to places. They were nice. I wanted to talk to people and see people and have conversations with people.
Okay. Any of the people you talk to have any connections to radical terrorist organizations?
I mean...
Really?
I mean, last I checked, they were all political organizations.
They're what?
Any of those regimes were political organizations, last I checked.
Okay. This funny to you? Are you Jewish?
No, I'm not Jewish. I certainly... there's nothing wrong with being Jewish. Some of my favorite people are Jewish, really, some of my very absolutely favorite people are Jewish. Some of my least favorite people are Christian Zionists. I hate them. I'm appalled by them, actually. Really appalled. But I'm not going to apologize for who I am. I'm a white person. I'm a Christian. I'm a man. And I'm not going to apologize for that. Period.
Okay. Couple more questions. Where are you from?
Oh, I came from Maine.
What is Maine?
Yeah, I live across from my parents' graves.
Wow. Okay, for Maine, what's the population?
Oh, I see what you did.
Why not?
And so...
So what brings you to Israel?
Well, I'm here to interview Ambassador Mike Huckabee.
You know Ambassador Mike Huckabee?
Very well, actually. I know him a lot.
From where you know him?
And I also have no idea who he is, like, at all. Like, I barely even know who that is. I don't even know who he is.
Ma?
And so I'm here to interview him.
So wait, you do know him or you don't know him? אני לא מבין. Okay, anyone give you a gift or something to take to Israel with you?
I mean, I got a house from Qatar.
Why you get that?
They're an ally. Last I checked, they're an ally. They're like one of our closest allies, actually.
Okay, we're gonna need your passport, please.
Why do you need to see my passport? Is it because I'm a Christian?
What you saying?
Did you just spit at me?
Ma?
Did you just spit at me?
We need your passport.
Oh.
Your passport, please.
Well, I'm certainly not going to give you my passport. I would never do that, like at all.
This is standard.
Hey,
I'll take you to a supervisor.
They're detaining me.
We
Stop.
just need a passport.
Get off me. This is just like the demon.
Ma?
This is just like the demon.
Ay, why? איזה משוגע.
Tucker Carlson was in Israel for a few hours. He landed in the airport, and he landed in the airport. He didn't leave the airport. He interviewed Ambassador Huckabee. We're looking forward to see that interview air. And he did claim that he was detained or harassed in some way. And basically, here is Tucker Carlson being detained and harassed. So he's doing a selfie here, okay, with somebody after he filled out some paperwork. That was it. Okay, that was the issue of detainment. He basically, as the video said, looks like a meet and greet. He had no problems whatsoever, but he did have to make a little bit of media about being detained, but he was not. And we will see what the outcome of the video is. I am really looking forward to that. And finally, here was my video that I did about Tucker Carlson and his little visit to the land and the state of Israel.
Tucker, I heard you were in the country and that you only stayed inside the airport. That is so cowardly. It's so pathetic and cowardly. I mean, you didn't get a chance to see beautiful Tel Aviv and the towers, the economy, and the high tech, and you didn't go to Jerusalem and feel the Bible come to life. You didn't feel King David. You didn't come to Hebron and see the tomb of Abraham. You're still going to be like, I don't think that the Jewish people today is the Jewish people of the Bible. Well, that's just dumb. But you wouldn't even come to see it. You didn't come to see it. You didn't even want to, take a second. You landed here, and all you came to do is just to pick a fight with Ambassador Huckabee. I hope he smeared you with the deep truth of the return of the Jewish people to the land of Israel, which is the most beautiful thing in the world. There's no more indigenous people in this world than the Jewish people. The great ingathering, the godly thing that's happening, the economy, the high tech, the matrix of our society, Jews, Muslims, Christians. And you didn't see any of that because you're not sharing the truth, bro. You just wanted to see the inside of the airport, make a little Qatar-funded, China-funded media, and you're out of here. Silly, cowardly, and full of lies. I hope that Huckabee smeared you with his amazing truth and expose your lies. Next time, buddy, maybe you can do better.
Okay, so that was my take on Tucker Carlson, and he really you land in the Holy Land and you can't even leave the airport to check it out. Anyway, folks, bottom line is there is an intensity out there. There's an intensity out there in the world. There's an intensity out there in the world. Here's people talking about Tucker. He's a fake Christian. Tucker, a demon is possessed. Right on Yishai. That's right. Tucker Thunberg. Okay. Yeah. The bottom line is that Tucker Carlson is part of that is part of the access of undermining the United States. I heard he got a phone call from President Trump being like, "Bro, cool it on your anti-Israel rhetoric. You're taking it too far. You're dividing my base back home." And that is definitely that's a proof that Tucker is really on the destructive side of in the Republican Party and in so-called conservative politics. He is a destructive element. Here's people writing that he's a useful idiot, that he is a sellout, that he is demon possessed. Okay, there's a lot of folks out there. A lot of folks out there with feelings and thoughts about it. Bottom line is that he was cowardly. That's really the truth. The light of Israel is coming to shine to the world, and I want to thank you very much for being part of that. And this is the time right now in these weeks to repent, to be bold, to be beautiful, to be out there, and to push it out to the world, to push out to the world that there is a great light that's coming out from Jerusalem, and that we will stand for protecting Jerusalem. And that is what I think part of what President Trump is thinking. I think this conflict is coming. And I think that we all have to do just what little thing are you going to do to come closer to God and to repent and to ask him to bring the world to a better place this week, this weekend? What is the thing that you're going to do, that one little thing? I think that you should post something. I wrote, I asked Malka to make a kind of graphic that said, "Make God Great Again." It did very well. People really like that. Put it out there. Make God great again. Put it out there that the Iranian regime is anti-human, anti-God, anti-Israel, anti-America, anti-liberty. There's a lot to push out right now that will make the world stronger. And we all have to do our little part to make the world a stronger place. The only reason I'm broadcasting to you right now is that I could do my little part together with my awesome team, including the incredible Yo, to make this world a better place, to make it stronger. I remind you that we need your support, and you can support us in so many ways, including going to Yishai Fleischer TV, liking, commenting, and subscribing, going to fightforisrael.org, where we buy tractors for farmers in the land of Israel, where we reinstate, resettle, rebirth, renew, reinvigorate, and make Israel alive again. That's an amazing thing to be part of. And you can support the show by going to buymeacoffee.com/Yishai. And we shall see you, Bezrat Hashem, with the help of God, on Sunday, where we're going to be part of the Liberation Nation. We're going to liberate the world from slavery and from atheism and from blindness and from self-servingness, and really get to a godly, loving, brotherly a mindset that's going to give each other strength. So I want to send you blessings from the land of blessings. Yo, was there some super chats that I didn't post up? Did you see any super chats that I didn't get a chance to do? Here's one. Tucker did not exit the airport when he visited Israel. Weird. Okay. What else? Marcel sent a super chat. Thank you very much. And the other ones I placed, I'll put them up again. This was a charity blessing for the land of Israel for Purim. And finally, Richard says, "You're the most trusted source from a Jewish viewpoint. Agreed. Call me a Zionist, please. Blessings." Thank you very much. And let's not forget that it is Purim season. You know what? Here's my advice. This weekend, take out your scroll of Esther and read through it one time. Find the hidden God, the God that is hidden, the name of God that is hidden inside the scroll of Esther. All right. And with that, I want to thank again, Yo, and I want to bless you out there wherever you are. Stay strong, stay connected, stay part of the story. Lots of love, lots of blessings from the land of blessings, from the heart of it all, Jerusalem, sending light to the world. We love you a lot from here, from good old Judea, reborn in our time, and you're part of the miracle. Stay tuned, stay strong, stay connected, and shalom.